Hello and welcome back to my craft room. It's the 6th of November and I've been playing with the contents of my October ScrawlrBox. The challenge for this month was out of the lamp. If you had 3 wishes, what would they be? This box is all about bringing them out of the lamp and onto the page. Use these super blendable markers to envision the delights your genie would grant you. I had loads of fun with this one. What I'm going to do is give you a quick look at the end result. Here we go. I'm going to tell you all about it as we go along. I filmed my process. It took hours and hours, so I'm going to do a really speeded up edited version for you. But I just wanted, first of all, I'm going to go to desk cam, and I just wanted to show you what I found I could do with these markers, because initially I struggled a little bit. Let's make myself some space. And I think one of the reasons I struggled is because of the paper. Now, one of the viewers of my unboxing video very kindly left a comment saying, have you seen the email? Apparently the paper was glued into the pad the wrong way round, so I may have been using the wrong side of the paper. Now, I decided that this wasn't going to be anywhere near big enough for what I had in my mind, as you can see. So I've got this, it's a very similar paper, obviously, you know, different make, very similar weight and type of paper, bleed proof marker paper. But I've got, this is a 3. Now, I experimented with this. Where's my little experiment sheet? Bearing in mind that in this pad the paper had been glued the other way up, I thought, well, I'm just going to see how much difference it is. And you can see it makes a huge difference which side of the paper. So I'm going to take this one. Right. Now, this is on one side of the paper. Let's do it this way, actually. And this is on the other side. If I try to blend, this is on one side, this is on the other side. Can you see what a massive difference? So I'm going to do the same thing on this paper now, just to see. So, and I can show you some of the things I found I could do with these markers. Because when I just tried them out, I just swatched them out on here, I thought these colours they're great, they're very vibrant, but I've not got a lot of scope for layering, and I'm not seeming to be able to blend them very well. I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do with them. But once I tried using the other side of this paper, and I'm hoping this paper will be the same, it opened up a whole new world. I also found that the fine liner we had with this kit was tending to smudge, especially with the yellow, which was something they kind of warned us about in the tips. But I found that in the course of doing my challenge piece, I was fine. I did all the inking first, and I used pens over the top, and it was fine. Got away with that completely. I'm just going to put some lines there so I can show you that in a minute. So I'm using the wrong side again. Right, so we think this is actually the right side of this paper now. We've got the yellow. I found I used the brush tips more than anything. The chisel tip was quite useful as well, though, for filling in large areas, and also if you wanted to get a fine straight line, you could fill in quite precisely with it. Although you can also get a nice fine line with the brush, because they're lovely flexible true brush pens, as I call them. yeah, so it's a whole different kettle of fish using this paper. Actually turns out to be the right way round. So I'm going to just mix these on the page to show you the kind of colours you can get. And I didn't find, I still didn't manage to get a very smooth finish and a smooth blend. But I didn't, oops. But for what I was doing, I didn't mind the interesting kind of finished textures that I got. It worked quite well for me. So, right, so let's just mix this with some of the... And what I found I could do, and I'll show you as we go along with the film, with the process film, you could almost use, especially the yellow, as a to kind of lift the colour. So you could kind of do this to lift the colour off. You could, I tried quite often just mixing them on the nib, which gets quite a nice soft blend. I thought using this side of the paper is a whole different experience. I don't know why I didn't really think of trying it when I was swatching. It's an absolute game changer. So I can mix these together and get a reasonable purple, and you can mix back and forth. They said that doing small circular movements was a better way of getting a smooth blend, but as you can see, I'm still finding I don't really get a smooth blend. But I don't mind a bit of texture in there anyway. That's fine. I experimented quite a bit with doing different shaped marks. So yeah, I went from really not being very keen to absolutely loving these once I used the right side of the paper. I haven't tried it out on any other kind of paper. And the only downside about this kind of paper and the little pad we got in the box is the same, is that it's very, very thin. I've already crumpled, you can see where, you know, I've already crumpled mine up because I'm not really very careful, but probably I could have taped it down on something if I was, you know, a bit more careful and organised. And just to show you with the yellow, which is supposed to be the worst one for, so it's lovely, you can, you know, that's still got some of the red in, so you've got this lovely orange thing going on. Massive range of colours you can get with it, yeah. As you can tell, I've gone from being not very keen to actually quite excited about these pens. It's going to take me quite a while to get all the red off of this now. But eventually you do. And even when, because I did that such a lot, the end of this nib has become permanently stained, but it does eventually get to the point where it just comes out yellow again. There you go. Even though you've got that staining on the nib, it's not making any difference. The nibs also were very resilient because I did a lot of, you know, pressing and scribbling and yeah, it's holding its shape. I can't make it focus, but you can see it's holding its shape really well. Yeah, very, very impressed with these pens. And I think it's a test of a good box if you want to go out and buy more of whatever the supplies are. And I definitely would like to get some more of these. I believe they're probably quite expensive, but I think they're probably well worth it. How much are they supposed to be? Wow, $9.99 each. God, we got a bargain this month then, didn't we? 3 of these. And the Unipin Fineline, $2.43, the pencil $1.20, and the marker pad 2.49, and the kneadable eraser 1.99. Wow, so that adds up to close on 40 quid's worth in a box that cost us, I think, 16.95. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can see how much fun I had. I was just going to show you that even with the yellow one, and apparently the yellow ones are notorious for lifting ink, because I've let that fine line pen dry, I've gone over there without any problem. It's not caused any smudging at all. That purple is a lovely kind of shadow colour. I think I did manage to get a bit more of a purple. Yeah. Oh yes, and one of the things I've found works well. Say I wanted this a bit deeper, I could just put a little line there of the other colour and then go back in and blend it out. And just keep doing that again. Until I'm happy with it. One thing that I didn't manage to do very successfully was put another layer of the same colour over the top to deepen it. So I mean, it's working there, but what I found in practice was that I couldn't keep it smooth. I couldn't keep it looking smooth when I did another. I'm going to wait for that to dry and then see if I can do a third layer over the top. So that's the red as is. That's 2 layers. If I go over again now, I should be able to get a third layer. But what I was finding sometimes was it was just kind of lifting the previous layer, which it's starting to do now. So instead of adding another in a more depth of colour, it was just kind of lifting it up and making a mess. But that might just be a question of I need to practice. So that's just a bit of a summary of the different things that I enjoy doing with these markers. The fine liner, I don't know if you can, I can't make it, there we are. I mean, I did a lot of scribbling with this, and you can see that nib has held up very well. I do have a bit of a tendency to mash the nibs a bit sometimes. But yeah, that seems to be very resilient, and it's still flowing really nicely. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed using it. And then, you know, there was the pencil, nice enough to use. It's just a pencil, and the kneadable eraser. Another thing worth noting is that using it the right way around, the ink hasn't bled through the paper at all. So yeah, loving these markers. What I'm going to do now is move on to the speeded up process video and show you how my challenge piece evolved. It took me about at least 4 hours, maybe more. I will speed it right up so it's just a few minutes, and you can just get a flavour of how it worked out, and then I will come back and see you again at the end. Right, here we go. I'd already penciled in my scene, so I'm just going in with the fine liner that came in the box here, just to ink everything in. I was watching something on Netflix at the time, so it's a really relaxing process, although it did take a really long time. I'm starting with whatever's going to be in the foreground and then working my way backwards. So here the leaves and flowers are going to be in the very front, so I'm doing those first. So while I'm doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about what inspired this picture. I did end up with rather more than 3 wishes for my genie. I started off with the little ordinary looking house that you can see right at the bottom of the picture. You'll be able to see it better soon. And it's no ordinary house because it has the ability to stretch depending what I need. It's like a TARDIS, bigger on the inside, and it can grow to fit in however many friends and family I've got staying, and to give me a room for every single art and craft I might like to do, and a giant kitchen and everything I could possibly need. Well, moving on to the clouds in the background there, they're the next thing. Oh, and the bunting, yeah, because that will be in front of the buildings. And once I've done the plants and the clouds and the bunting, then I can go on to the buildings, which you can see me doing there. So yeah, there are 3 specific things in this house that were kind of my 3 wishes. You can see the giant phone there attached to the phone box. Well, that's a special phone because you can get hold of whoever you need to talk to, wherever they may be. Even if you don't know where they are, you can always talk to them on that phone. The clock that I'm just doing the roof of the clock tower there. That clock is no ordinary clock. You can use it to change the speed that time moves at. You can even stop time altogether for a while if you're having a particularly good day and you really wish it would last forever. It's as easy to reset time as it is to change the setting on your central heating. And then the last part of the wish is a door that you can see. It's not too easy to spot yet, but it will become apparent. There's a red door that's towards the right of the building, of the picture, sorry. And that's a magical door. It's a door to anywhere you want to be or need to go. You could just walk through that door and you'll be there. And then the last magical part of this wonderful building is that it's got bridges on either side, and they go straight to all the places I need to go. To save me, battling through crowds or going on public transport. I can just get on my... There's no traffic on these roads. I can just get on my bike and cycle or walk to wherever I need to be. So yeah, once I sort of just let go and let my imagination roam free, I had a wonderful time with this. Just penciling in that kind of bridge now, that walkway or cycleway. And now, so once everything was inked in, I started adding colour, and I really started to enjoy these markers, blending them on the paper, blending them kind of on the nib, and then applying them to the paper. Yeah, the more I play with them, the more I like them, and I think I probably will get some more. So that with that one, I just used the red and went back over it to add extra depth. I found that with areas like this one, I used a combination of the brush nib and the chisel nib to help me to get into all the little nooks and crannies and colour everything in reasonably precisely. So that was quite good. I'm going back over this with yellow there just to warm up that red a little bit and give it some lighter areas. And then while that red is still on the nib, it's given me this lovely orange colour, which I'm using to colour in the building you see there. You can see that sometimes the blending didn't work too well. That's not come out very smoothly there, but it was okay because it was the texture worked very well for me. There I'm doing that technique where you add the darker colour and blend it down. So I added the red to the yellow and blended it out. And here it's quite interesting that I could colour in those flowers right next to the red of the foam box, and they didn't bleed into each other, which was really good. Here I'm blending some blue into the yellow, so colouring the yellow of the leaves first and then blending blue in to make a green. They're blending red into the yellow for the roof. There's a little hourglass on top of that clock tower. On the TV aerial there is kind of signifying that I've got excellent internet connection in this magical house. Those little barley sugar twists were quite fun to do. They're not doing anything useful, I just liked the look of them. Initially I think they were going to be kind of roots or something, but or stilts or legs or something, but they just changed as I went along, and I just let it happen really. I was finding that where I ended up with a lot of red on my yellow pen, I would make the most of that and use it as orange somewhere else. Yeah, the more I used them, the more I realised I could do with them. Here, getting a kind of shadow with the blue and the red, kind of a purple shadow, which is quite nice. And yeah, mixing the nibs, mixing them together on the nibs there. And then then I'm going in with the yellow to kind of lift some of the ink. You can see there, it's leaving like a highlighted effect. And while I had the green on the yellow nib, I used that to finish off the top of the roof. There I've just done some flowers, just pressing the brush nib onto the paper, and there I'm using that ink lifting technique again with the yellow to add those struts to the bridge. Making lots of little marks here to kind of fade that blue out into the background. So starting off with the solid blue around the house and then letting it kind of drift out by making little marks with my brush nib. Yeah, I keep thinking, you know, what possibilities there would be if I had more colours of these pens. Just a more kind of true blue would be quite good, because then I could probably get a true purple, for instance. And I don't know if they do a colourless blender. Oh, I've mixed yellow and blue down there to make some sort of grass at the bottom and faded that up in the same way as the blue around the clouds. Just adding some blue to those flowers to make them a little bit purple. Just to bring, because I had purple on some of the roofs, so I wanted to repeat that elsewhere in the picture to bring it all together. Adding some little yellow marks there to fade the house into the clouds. And now I've pretty much finished with the blocking in the colours, and I'm going back in with that fine liner to add lots of little details. So in some cases I'm just cross hatching or using little dots to add shadow and depth, and in other cases I'm, you know, you can see there actually filling little parts in to give pops of black and white, which was quite nice. And in other areas I'm doodling lines, like you can see here, to add pattern and interest to the scene. And I could have gone on like this for hours. Well, in fact I did go on like this for hours. Just putting lines around those railings there on the bridge where I lifted the colour with the yellow marker. I'm just accentuating those with the fine liner. And here I'm using the yellow to lift a bit of colour to add highlights. So that's it. Here's another look at my finished piece. You can see that I was very much influenced by the work of this month's featured artist, Alexandra Olivia. I'll leave a link to her below and a link to ScrawlrBox in case you want to check that out for yourself. I must say this has turned out to be a really fun box, and another one of my favourites, I think. Very, very different from last month, which was more sort of black and white and charcoaly. And this is all bright, vivid colour, which is just what I needed after a month of Inktober. So I've really enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you will come back and see me again soon. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.